Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 61 of the Very Fun Yarns podcast. My name is Tanya, and I'm coming to you from southeast Minnesota, where my family and I run a fruit farm and where I dye naturally dyed yarn. So welcome. If you're new to the channel, thanks for coming. And if you are returning, thanks so much for coming back. So hello, everybody. Today is Friday, July 11th, and it is a very dreary, kind of a cool day here in Minnesota. It's actually been very warm, and up here in my office / guest room, it's usually really hot. But today, you can see I actually had to put a cardigan on because I was feeling a little cool with the fan circulating above me here, just to keep the air circulating. So anyway, it has been about 2 weeks since I came to you last. Not a ton has happened. For a quick life update, we attended my nephew's wedding, which was lovely. And ironically, I guess there was a little bit of events that night. We stayed at a hotel because it was about an hour and 45-minute drive from here. And that evening at like 1 a.m., there was a tornado warning. So like our phones all went off, and we actually had to go down into the stairwell for about, 20-ish minutes. So me and my husband and our kids, we all were kind of camped out downstairs for a while. So that was eventful. We came back pretty normal sort of week. We did some weeding. I did a little bit of dyeing of this new super chunky merino base that I will be bringing to the shop in a little bit. I'm not quite sure if I will keep it as a regular part of the shop, but I'm going to be doing some swatching with it to kind of see how I feel about it. But anyway, did some dyeing with some coreopsis flowers. And then it was my birthday last Sunday. So, 4th of July here in the United States on Friday, and went to the farmer's market on Saturday, got rained a lot on. And then we had like a little staycation. So since I have some adult kids now, as of yesterday, I have 3 adult kids. We left the adult kids in charge, and we just went away for a couple days to just kind of get away from responsibilities. And I spent a lot of time knitting and crocheting, which I'm going to show you both today. So I did make some good progress on a lot of things. I did not finish anything, although I do have a half finished object. I did finish a sock. So that's been pretty much it. The only other excitement is that some of you know this already, that I work with a animal rescue organization here, and there were some people in my neighborhood know that I'm kind of like a cat person. And one of my neighbors, there was a mom that gave birth right outside her front door to 6 kittens. I don't know how this little mom managed to have that many kittens in her tiny little belly, because she is little. I don't think she's even a year old. Like, she's a little one herself. So anyway, I kind of worked with her and helped her get help put her in touch with some of my contacts to get formula and that sort of stuff. And the babies are, for the moment, they're very tiny. They were I got to be the human incubator for a couple hours on Wednesday. But they went to go stay with the specialist in teeny tiny babies for about a week or two until they get bigger. 2 of them were only in the 2.2 to 2 ounce range, which, if you're a yarn person, that's like a 50-gram skein of yarn. And then the other 4 were in the closer to 3.5 ounces, which is a little more normal in size. But the mom had actually disappeared and hadn't come back in 24 hours, which is why they took the kittens in. And then luckily yesterday they were able to trap the mom. She did come back, and as of today, I just got a picture that maybe I'll put it on here if I can find it here. All 6 of the babies are snuggled in with mom. She did accept them all again. So I'm not sure exactly if the teeny tiny ones will have to go back in the incubator, or if they'll just keep an eye on them and let mom do her thing. So she may still need some help because that is a lot of babies to feed. So yeah, so that was my excitement this week. And now I thought it would be a great time to get a little recording in so that I could edit it and get it out to you before the end of the weekend. So without more jabbering, let me show you what I have been working on. So the first thing I want to show you, you can't see it, but I have this like stack of project bags over here on my desk. I really was trying to finish this because I wanted to have a finished object. But as life would happen, or as in kittens would happen, I've been spending a fair bit of my time talking and assisting in that way. So I didn't get this completely finished, but I did make some progress since I saw you last. Now I can't remember if I even had the body done. I think I did. I think I might have had the body done when I came to you last. So this is my long sleeve Soldotna. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and I am knitting it in the Berry Fun Yarns DK Tweed base. So you can see I have finished an entire arm and probably about a third to a half of the second one. But I am very close. Let me see. Sometimes, I do this magic trick where you fold it in half. This is my motivational trick to cheer myself on to see how much knitting I really have left. So look, this is about what I have left. So I'd say about half the sleeve. And to be honest, once I get down to the cuff, it goes super fast because right now the work of it all is managing the 3 balls of yarn at the same time, because if you've never seen this pattern before or haven't done it, it was very popular when it came out, probably, I don't know, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. I don't know if you can see it there. It's like I said, it's cloudy today, so it's kind of hard. But it has color work through the whole thing. So there's three different colors on the sleeve, and so I have 3 balls attached at all times. So that is kind of a lot. But my goal is to finish. Making a mess, making a noise over here. I would really like to finish this by the end of the weekend. So I may actually take this with me to the farmer's market because I'm setting up tomorrow. And one, it's my yarn, so it's a great demonstration of what I can make. And people love to see what you're knitting. And now that I have done the first sleeve, it's going to be really easy as far as the second sleeve. I don't have to try it on and measure it. So this pattern is a short sleeve pattern. And normally the sleeves cut off way up here, just very short. It was just a little bit of ribbing after the color work. I wanted it to be long sleeve, so I wasn't sure if I was going to have to do sleeve decreases or not, but the way the sweater is written, it fit perfectly down my arm, and I didn't really want it any tighter until I got to the wrist. So what I did is I just knit straight the whole way down. I ended up knitting straight, and then when I got to the very end, right before the cuff, I decreased 16 stitches or something within just a couple rounds. And so it's going to be pretty easy when I go to do the second one here, because I won't have to do any measuring or decreasing or anything like that. So my pretty stitch marker is making noises way on the bottom there. Okay, so yeah, so that is my first project. And I think I'm knitting that on a US 5. The color work is done on a US 5, and the ribbing is done on a US 3. So that's a pretty good size. It goes fairly quickly with it being DK weight. The second thing I have been working on, and this one is one of those, this is my half finished object, or my hoe, and that is my scrappy stripy socks. Now this one, I think when I came to you last, I was to the toe or almost to the toe. So I finished the toe on the first one. I have not woven in all of my ends, but just a few of them. But you can see it is self-striping scraps that I have alternated with black yarn. So I did a black cuff, and then I do 2 rounds of the self-striping scraps. So I think I actually had 3 different sets of scraps, but they were all kind of similar. Well, this one wasn't a scrap. This one I actually just had, but these 2 were scraps. And they might have both been knit picks. For sure, one of them is knit picks Felici. Whoops, I'm throwing things. So I knit the one color was the whole leg. Then I did the cuff, not the cuff, the heel. And then the next section until I got to the yellow was a second scrap I had. And then I just needed something that went with it, and I had just ordered some Felici yarn from Knit Picks. And so I put that rainbow bit towards the end, but the colors really blend well, and I can't tell that it's 3 different scraps at all. My oldest saw me working on these this morning and liked the rainbow-tasticness of it, so they have claimed these as theirs. So when I finish this, I will probably set them aside for the fall. But I did cast on my second one already. Whoops. And I'm knitting these on size 0 or 2 millimeter DPNs. The Sunstruck DPNs from Knit Picks. I really like those, but I didn't get very far, just to the second color of the striping scrap. So yeah, these will be great to get off the needles. And I sat down this morning when I cast these on because I like to sometimes knit when I walk on the treadmill. And I thought, oh, I'll make the cuff on the treadmill. Well, I ended up just being in the mood to walk really fast on the treadmill, and then it's not safe for me to knit. So I didn't, but I did, while I was having my breakfast, finish the cuff and start the beginning part. But I really just wanted to just keep knitting on it, because once you get going, there is some yarn management issues in the sense of, like, again, you have 2 balls going at all the time. Because I don't ever cut my yarn in between, I just carry it down, which it does show up a little bit. I just used it as a design feature on the back of the sock. You can kind of, you can kind of see it there, where I didn't do a jogless jog technique or anything, which I'm sure you could, but so it just sort of turns out like that. And then it's on the side, on the bottom. But yeah, so you're carrying it down with you. So there is a little bit of yarn management, like I said, but it's just so fun to see the colors come out and the scraps. It's sort of like my oldest was saying that it's sort of like a muted rainbow, so it just makes it a little more wearable, I guess. I don't know. Rainbows are wearable. Anyway, that was their understanding and description of it, not mine. But, whatever works for me. So those are going. I hope to make some good progress on those before I come to you next. The next thing, I have a couple of design projects I'm working on. So if you recall, the last time I came to you, I still have it here, I finished my side-by-side sample in the baby blanket size. And I probably mentioned I was going to cast on a large size of this. So this pattern is still in testing, but the testing is going great. So I am still estimating a later September release date for the pattern. So if you are interested in it, it is coming. So I cast on a new one, and this one is going to be a pride, or like a rainbow. And it is going to be the large throw size, which for the pattern is going to be listed as a standard 50 by 60 inches throw blanket. But you can modify it completely because it is a corner-to-corner knit. The directions are very modifiable to whatever size that you would like. But so I cast on with my red, and I'm making this in the Knit Picks Stroll Fingering, I think, in lots of different colors. But so I cast on in the Hollyberry color. That's the one side. And then the other side is the double. Suppose you got my thing here all wrapped around. So I think I might have knit the red just a tad bit longer than I probably really wanted to. if I would have done the math, you know, like to give each color their even amount in the blanket. But because it is, you know, the beginning, you don't use very much of the yarn for the depth that you get. So, you know, once your rows get bigger, you go through yarn a lot faster. So basically what I'm doing is I knit with 2 strands of the hollyberry, and then I did 1 strand of the hollyberry and 1 of the orangey red. I think it was called poppy. And then I moved to 2 strands of the poppy. And if you look really close, I'm just starting to fade in my orange one, which is pumpkin. So yeah, so I have all these rainbow colors, and I'm just going to keep on knitting. I haven't worked on this one a ton since I came back on Monday from our little staycation, only because I was working on a different design so that I can finish it and send it out to testers for the fall. So I'll show you that one in a minute. Before I go to that one though, let me show you something crochet related that I have been doing. So I went down a rabbit hole, as one does. Let's see, it was Friday the 4th of July. Friday the 4th of July. I think I was feeling a little bit, a little bored maybe, because I have been spending a lot of time. I have a lot of really fun ideas for designs that I want to work on, but then as much as I love that, then I don't have time. It starts to feel like I'm always working because I don't have time to just, you know, knit or crochet whatever I want. So I have had this massive, let me see if it's in here, this massive magic knot ball in my scraps for a long time, and I wasn't so sure what I was going to do with it. It's smaller now, but you can see it's a good size. So if you've never done a magic knot before, I will link the tutorial below, but it is a way of joining very small scraps so that the knot, it's like a knot, but it's not supposed to pull out. It's done in a certain way that makes it extra sturdy. So oftentimes when I knit with smaller than like 5 grams of scraps, I will, or crochet, I will do the magic knot. And I have done it before for scrappy, like a granny stripe blankets in fingering weight. And I really like it for crochet. Knitting, I don't like it for as much, but crochet I do. So I had this big ball sitting around, and I was watching Nitty Natty and also the Bakery Bears last week, and they were both working on projects that had the linen stitch, the crochet linen stitch in them. And I thought, I kind of want to try it because I didn't have anything crochet on the hook at all. So I was kind of missing crochet. So I pulled up the TL Yarn Crafts, Tony Lipsy, her tutorial for the crochet linen square. And she does these like squares that she makes into a temperature blanket, which I knew I didn't want to do that exactly, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a full, like, you can keep going around and around it and just have a big, huge square blanket. But as I got going, I think I decided, at least I have cast on, if you call that, hooked on 2 different linen square projects. One is in fingering weight and one is in DK weight. But of course, there is a story here. So let me finish the full story for you. So Friday evening, the weather wasn't horrible here, but we live in the country, and on occasion, the internet kind of stinks. And it comes and goes, it doesn't load, and I've been having problems with my iPad, which is what I primarily watch things and videos on anyway, because it's getting older and it's just got issues. But that's a whole nother story. So anyway, I pulled up the video, as one does once you become a little more confident in your making skills, and I started to watch the beginning of it. And I have done granny squares before, so I was like, oh, okay, I get this. This is easy. And I would have watched the whole video, but it kept cutting out on me, and it would like break up, and it wouldn't do what it was supposed to do to let me watch it. So I'm like, oh, it's fine. I got it. I'll wing it from here. Well, lo and behold, I learned a couple days later when I was at the hotel that, I missed a very important step. So let me show you a couple. I made 3 of these squares. One of them I think is downstairs. These were my first squares that I made. Now take a look at these babies. Do you notice something a little off with these squares? Here's my next one. This one isn't quite as bad until you get to the outside. They're not squares. They're not even. There's more. Some sides are shorter. This one you can really tell if you fold it in half, because one side is considerably, this side is longer than this side over here. So I was at the hotel and I was in my relaxing state, and I'm like, after my third, I'm like, these really, because at first when I looked at it, I thought it just looked like it was not a square because of how, like in particular, this one, it's self-striping. And the beginning, this little blurb was like extra. So it was like a full square plus a little bit. So the color distribution wasn't even. And I thought that's what was making it look like it was out of not quite a square, not quite, completely even on every side. And I think I have mentioned this before on here, but I am an English teacher by trade. And so sometimes I just, I just go with the flow. I tell myself, oh, that looks fine. As knitters, we tell ourselves lies sometimes, like a swatch, or we're knitting a big project and we think, oh, it'll block out. Well, that is in essence, I think, what I did on these squares. I was like, it's new to me. It's just how it's supposed to look. It's just because of the yarn choices that it looks like it's not a square, but it is a cool visual quality of it. It has nothing to do with the fact that I did not count how many stitches I did on each side to make sure that they were even. I mean, who thinks to do that when you're making a square? I mean, really. But come Sunday, after I had made 3, I said to myself, okay, maybe I'll just pull that video up again. The internet is better here. I'll watch it in full to see, to see if I'm doing it right, just to make sure. But I'm probably doing it right. But I just want to make sure, is what I told myself. Well, I pulled it up, and those of you who have made these before will know this, but when I got around back to the beginning, so there's an area as you get going on these squares where you start each round. You go all the way around, you meet back at the beginning, and then you join it, and then you chain one up and you go to the second round. Well, number 1, I wasn't turning my work. That is essential. And number 2, I wasn't counting. So if you've never done linen stitch before, this is not a pattern. This is not a secret. And TL Yarn Crafts, her video is free, and I will link it below. But you do a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and all the single crochets are done in the chains from the previous row or round. And I don't know why I didn't think that I should count to make sure I had the same amount of of single crochets for every side of my square, but it just didn't cross my mind because I was just crocheting and having a happy old time. So anyway, when I started to do that, things turned out much better. And let me show you what I had in the end. So these are not lonely. They will not be thrown out. I have turned them into mug rugs. I have one here on my desk, and I have one on my little end table where I sit down at my chair. But I have decided, so since then I have made 4. Look at now, these are much, much better squares. I have made 4. There's 1. Here's 1. I really like this one. This one is with all variegated scraps. And then this one. So I have made 4, and what I decided to do to make it easy to remember is that I made it as how I decided what size to make was I did 20 single crochets per side, and when I reached 20 per side, then that was the last round. So that is how big I'm making these. I am crocheting these on a 3.75 millimeter hook, and I'm using the video that Tony Lipsy had on her channel, and I'm just using scraps. So some of the scraps, I had this first one, this was the first one I made after I figured out how to do it right. This one, I did have all these scraps into their own magic knot ball already, because they were really small amounts, like maybe 2 grams or something like that. But then this ball has some larger sections of scraps, because I wound this such a long time ago, I don't remember. So what I ended up doing is, and there's an area where there's a lot of purple together. So like for this one, I did like a chunk, and then I kind of varied it, or I cut it off purposefully and rejoined it. This one in particular too, because it was going to all be this lighter color. I wanted some darker in it, because what I want to do, and I'm pretty sure I can do this, although I am not 100% sure because I've never done this before, but I have made granny square blankets and done a join as you go sort of system where you have the rows and you go around the outside. I'll link a tutorial I used on my last granny square blanket. But it's a seamless join. That's what it's called, a seamless join. And then you just keep going around the squares. And what I really want to do is I want to do that, but I want to do it with a linen stitch around the outside edge. So I want to do like an undyed color around the edge of this, and then go into another square and do the undyed color. So I think I can do it. I was talking to another maker at the farmer's market about it. She does more crochet than I do, and she said, well, I don't know, I've never done it before, but I would think you can. It's just a different stitch. So I will report back to you on how that goes. But for now, I'm just accumulating these squares, which are about, let me measure them. I think they're about 5 by 5 inches, maybe slightly bigger. Oh, they are closer to 5.5 by 5.5 approximately. So I hope to, I'm just going to kind of keep using up my tiny scraps, because sometimes, like I make something and I have a 20-gram scrap or a 20-gram mini, and I maybe use, I don't know, 15 of it or something. And I would really I'm feeling, maybe it's the state of the country right now. It feels very uncertain to me. So I'm usually a declutter, get rid of kind of person. But lately I've been feeling like I want to hold on to things, like make, what was the term they used back during wartime? Make do, use up. I can't remember all the things, but anyway, so that's been my jam lately. I have 4 done, and then this big ball here. So I try to kind of finish them, before I put it away, because it doesn't take me too long to do one, and they are very fun to do, very addictive. If you need an addictive crochet project to do, that is the one. Then I also, because I knit with DK tweed a lot, I have a lot of DK tweed, in particular, scraps in varying sizes. And there is a outreach program, which I've talked about before, called the Welcome Blanket Project, where makers crochet or knit blankets. I think you can sew them too, actually. And they have to be a square size of 40 by 40 inches. And they are, what I'm trying to say here, you add a little note to the blanket. They give you suggestions on the website, which I will link below. You're supposed to add a little note about your family's immigration story and how your family came to America, and send that along. But the blankets are given to new immigrants to the country as a form of welcoming them here. And given the state of the country, again, I really wanted to make some more blankets for this project, because I think it's a really good one. and it's an easy way for me to give back and to feel like I'm doing something. So it's sort of like craftivism, I guess is what they call it. So anyway, I was pulling out some of my scraps, and I had a lot of DK weight scraps. And at first I thought, oh, I'll just do all DK in general, but then I got to thinking I have a lot of these tweed ones, and I'm making this sweater now, so I'm going to have a whole bunch more in a little bit. So I am making a DK weight crochet linen stitch blanket that is going to be, I'm just going to keep going around and around, but it's only going to be with the DK tweed base. And I'm just going to keep going until it's 40 by 40, because this will give me a square, and that is the size that is asked for in the blanket directions. So this is how far I am right now. I have some, I think this is like a golden snitch color, and this is sort of like a lilac-y color. And this bright blue one is actually not mine. It's the same base, but it is from Leading Men Fiber Arts. I made a pair of mittens that I held mohair double with for one of my kiddos. And that was, I had a tiny scrap left of that. And for this one, I am using a 4mm or a G size hook, but it's the exact same process. And this one's really fun too. I like the thicker weight. It feels really nice, but it also, it's a little easier to crochet because it's easier to see where the space is to put your, hook. So if you like the idea of this, but maybe your eyesight isn't what it used to be, or you don't like the tinier ones, I would definitely recommend a DK weight or worsted weight, because it is lovely to work with. So I have in here I have a couple more scraps. I have some blue. I have some overall blue scraps. Apologies if the light's changing here because it is getting dark. I think we're going to get some more rain. And then I have another little purple in here. I just have this much left of the blue. And then I have, of course, the sea glass, the periwinkle, the tiny butt tuft, and the swamp moss that will all be in my other blanket. And then I also have, haven't started it yet, but there's a color work design that I will be starting soon that will also be in this base. So I should have lots of scraps, and I kind of figure I work with that base a lot because I really enjoy it. It's an 85 superwash merino, 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal neps, which come from nylon. So it's very soft, very squishy, but also very durable. Good for blankets when you're donating. So I think I'm just going to keep that. Might be like a longer term thing, but I'll just keep adding to it as I have more scraps. So those are my two crochet projects that I'm really enjoying. And then the last thing that I'm working on is my twisted together cowl pattern. I briefly showed you a prototype last week, or last time I came to you. At that time though, I think I was going to rip it out because I didn't like something. Oh, I think I was making it, I decided to do different colors, a main color and contrast colors. So I ripped it out, and I have knit a lot since I've seen you last. In fact, I've almost knit the entire cowl. So let me show you what I've got here. So this is going to be called the Twisted Together Cowl. This is where I am. So it's a pretty close fitting cowl, although it is going to block out, I would say, but it's going to kind of be kind of close to your neck, but long, so that when the fabric squishes down, it'll kind of drape close, and it'll just kind of keep your neck warm. So this is a cowl that is going to have, so these stockinette sections can be made with mini skeins, or you can use a 50-gram main color here, which is what I'm using here, 50 gram. And then you could use a full skein for all of the contrast colors. So you could make it just 2 colors. You could, in this case, I had 2 sections of every color because I had 6 mini skeins, but you could also do 10 different colors. So this version is going to have 12 stockinette sections. only because the set, the mini set that I'm using, came with 6 minis, different colors, and I want to use them all. But I believe that what I'm going to do for the actual pattern will just be, you'll need 5 mini skeins or a 100-gram skein for your contrast colors, or 10-gram mini skeins. So if you get them that way too. And then 150-gram skein that will be your main color that you will use for all of these double horizontal chain stitch sections. So let me give you a little close up. So the middle, you can see the section there. It has, like I said, it's hard to see with the light. I may take some pictures here, but it is a super fun stitch. It can be a little fiddly at first, but it gives a little bit of texture, and it's sort of like twisted stitches. It's done in a way that's very unique, something I've never seen before. And in fact, when I came across it, I was just searching for textured stitches that look nice with stockinette stitch. And it came up, but I only was able to find one tutorial anywhere about how to actually do the stitch. So I am working on making a tutorial for this as well, which I hope to have done in the next couple days. But it kind of gives, I don't know if you can see it, it's sort of like it twists. You see how the stitches just kind of turn like that? And then you get these little like floaty bits in the back that make it look kind of lacy. And that's just where the yarn goes from stitch to stitch. So I've really been enjoying this one, and there's lots of, I think, so many options you could do as far as color combinations. You know, like I said, you could do 10 different mini skeins. You could do, you know, you could make it longer. You could do 12. You could do whatever size you want to. But for the purpose of the pattern, I think I'm going to do the 10 sections, just because it's easier. I think I talked about this before, quantity-wise. I really like patterns where, you know, it's easy to find a 100-gram contrast color and a 50-gram main color. Or you could do 10-gram minis or 5 20-gram minis. I often sell my mini skeins in sets of 5 20 grams or 10 grams. So it's a little easier, I think, for makers to find that, so you don't have a lot of leftovers. I do think that if I were to switch, now I'll see, it's going to be really close, I think. I'm using a 50-gram skein for my main color, and I do have more of that color so that if I run out in this instant, I can open another skein. But I do think it's going to be really, really close with the 12 sections of me having enough of the main color for the 12 sections. Whereas if I cut it down to 10, I'm certain you'll have enough with 50 grams of a main color. So that's one reason. Plus also this one here right now with the length that it is already, and this is unblocked. I'm on my 10th, no. Yes, I'm just started my 10th section here. So if you were going to do it like the pattern will be, you would finish this section and then do your ribbing. So that's still, if you look at my head here, it's still plenty long when you add in blocking and things like that. So yeah, I'm very excited about this pattern. And I will say, if anybody out there is interested in testing this pattern, if you are new to me or if you have tested before, please let me know, because I kind of want this test to go on at the same time as my blanket test. And right now I have a large number of my regular testers that are already testing my blanket. And not that they can't test two at the same time, but a blanket is a big project. So I would love to add some new people to my testing pool. So if this intrigues you at all, if you're interested, like I said, you just need 100 grams for contrast colors, 10 10-gram minis or 5 20-gram minis, along with a 50-gram skein of main color. And it is all in fingering weight. I am using a size 2 US needle. I am a loose knitter, so I would venture to guess that most people will need a 3 to achieve the gauge that I'm getting. But it's just done in the round on a 16-inch circular needle, and I think it's a pretty quick knit, which would be great for the fall season or spring if you're in the opposite hemisphere. Be great as a Christmas gift, something. I think I'll probably wear this around the house a lot in the winter when I just need a little extra warmth around my neck. So if you're interested in testing the Twisted Together cowl, you can either comment below or you can send me a direct email at berryfunyarns@gmail.com. I'm hoping that test can be ready to go out in the next week or two. So we'll probably go on in late July, August, and early September, and kind of be ready about the same time, if not slightly earlier than the blanket pattern that's also in testing. So yeah, that is my last project I have been working on. But this, I hadn't even started when I came to you last. So that in and of itself is a lot of knitting. My knitting has slowed down considerably this week as I have gotten back to work. But alas, such is adulting, I guess. You know, you have to work sometimes. The fun thing, though, is that that kind of counts as work. So that has been fun, too. Okay, I think that's it. I don't really have any other exciting or interesting news to share about Berry Fun Yarns today. Don't really have any updates. Still have some Advent kits on the site. I'm still going to the farmer's market if you're local here near Rochester, Minnesota. Yeah, just kind of plugging away with some of these design ideas, and I will probably be dyeing some yarn again in the near future. It's kind of hard to balance. I like to focus on one thing at a time, so don't like to have too many things in the hopper all at once as far as dyeing and designing. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you are all well wherever you are, and I will see you again in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.